Fifth time's a charm. How's it, Jesse? Good to see you, man. There he is. There he is right there. The bearded man, the myth, the legend, the fast one. They better watch out at the Mohican because this man's coming for you. He's coming for you. What's up, Jesse?
Hey,
Good to see
yeah,
you,
no,
man.
we made a plan.
Okay, tell me about it.
Well, all the podcasts so far we've talked about nutrition plans, and so
Yes.
we're gonna actually Michael helped me devise one. Um, Instead of just randomly eating carbs with no rhyme or reason, we're gonna actually eat them on a schedule, which is different for me. Because I was like, I was thinking about it, Michael.
Yeah.
There were times in some of these races I've done over the last because I've used beta fuel
Okay.
and SIS beta fuel gels
Yep.
for like
Yep.
two years. So like I've been eating this stuff, but there's times where I'll just be like, "Oh, I'm feeling really bad. I should eat some gels." And I'll just slam three of them. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's like, oh,
Yeah.
like I'm on the road. This is an opportunity to eat some gels.
Yeah.
And I had no clue that I was actually hurting myself
Yeah.
because that would be 120
Bam.
and
Like that. Yeah.
yeah, and
Instantly.
and
Instantly.
I was straight up doing that in races like frequently. Like I would just be like, "Oh, I really
Yeah.
need to eat," and just so I'm pretty excited to see what happens.
Man, I was thinking of you on a long ride on Friday. I sent you that visual. So I did about a 12 and a half hour 3 day block. So I did was about 6 hours, 80-ish miles on dirt on Friday. Saturday had some stuff going on with Kamaya, and then did 3 hours on, let's say, call it 2.5 on Sunday, and then another 4 hour ride, 50-ish on just kind of easy zone two stuff, endurance stuff, aerobic based stuff on Monday. And I was thinking of you on Friday and Monday, and I'm like, if this man is like, I know you've got a training plan, but you are also winging it a bit with that, and I'm all about adapt, adjust, reload. Like I've been working, I've been in athlete sessions all day. I know we were having a little difficulty connecting here today. I was working with athletes in my human performance, mental performance, mindset coaching all day. It's divisionals, it's track season. There's some big track meets going on right now, some big spring basketball tournaments. So a lot of athletes have a lot going on. But when I was on that ride, I was thinking like, this guy's doing what he's doing, and like in my opinion, you're popping him off, man. And I was like, this guy's doing what he's doing on I'm not going to call it half baked or even winging it, but there's definitely some winging it going on there as far as the training. But your nutrition, the greatest advancement, I think, in the endurance sphere, Ironman, triathlon, in every realm right now is the nutrition side of things. And I certainly have not aced this by any means. I think I do a better job of coaching it than executing it myself, but I'm getting better and better. And I'm telling you, man, I was thinking on this ride, when this guy nails this, when he tightens the bolts on this, watch out, man, watch out. So I think the thing that's so exciting about you right now is I just believe you're on this trajectory, and it doesn't mean that it's going to be all roses and applesauce out there, or there ain't going to be setbacks. Every race is going to be great, but I think this strategy is gonna serve you well. And I haven't messed as much with the SIS, just as it's expensive. The stuff's expensive. I think it's brilliant that it's got that 40 grams of carbs. It's got that 1 to 0.8 ratio, which is pretty unique. Most of the gels out there is a 2 to 1 glucose to fructose ratio. They've got that 1 to 0.8 ratio of maltodextrin, which is essentially glucose to fructose. But the fact that you've played with it and it works for you, yeah, I'm pretty optimistic about it. But like I said in our exchange on Wednesday, or Tuesday night, I wouldn't be afraid of real food too, man. You get an opportunity to take on a banana, take on, something, just because this is gonna be such a long race. Just to not, I know you've got the gut of steel, but to not get too tired of it. And I'm excited that are you gonna try we're gonna go with some of the carbs in a bottle as well.
Well, yeah, and I usually do. I mean, like
Good,
I've been
good.
doing that. Like I've
Okay.
been running beta fuel in my bottles
Yeah.
for like the last 2 or 3 years. It's
Nice.
just like I just threw it in there and I
Yeah.
would just be like, there were some races, Michael, where I would like roll up to an aid station and be like, "Oh, I want to refill a bottle," and I would just chug the whole thing at once and
Yeah.
then refill my bottle
Yeah. That's
because
a,
I was more
yeah.
worried. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was more worried about like
Yeah.
the refill than actually what I was
Yeah.
doing to my
Yeah.
body.
Yeah.
So,
Man, I think we've all been there, man. I think we've all been there, but I think as you, like I said, you tighten this up and you nail this down, I think you're just going to get you know the stamina is going to be there. You know, the stamina is going to be there, and I think on the I don't know what is it going to be hot? Like, what's the weather going to be like
it's
there?
gonna rain the whole time,
Oh, it's
which
going to rain.
is actually
Yeah,
really good for me. I
yeah,
tend to do better whenever it gets really hard. Like if
sweet.
it's
Yeah,
just like a disaster out
yeah,
there,
that's good for you.
um, I think this is an equipment equation.
Okay.
I think that my again, I've always said this. My biggest strength is one, the resources I have, but two, my equipment is perfect. And
Yeah,
whenever it gets muddy and wet and rainy, and your equipment starts to have like you're asking more of your equipment in that situation, and I know my bike's gonna work. You know, it might not. You
yeah.
know, something could happen, but I will tell you, I've never gone to a race and had a mechanical. You know,
Wow.
I can't
Yeah,
say that. Like,
yeah,
and I've told people that before. It doesn't never jinxes me. So
yeah.
it's I think there's something to making sure your bike works, and I know that's going to be a non-factor for me. I mean,
For you,
and also if something happened out there, like I the reaction time of diagnosing it is immediate, you know, like I know what's wrong immediately and I can like not like no, I never have that like panic moment. It's like, oh wait, I know what's wrong the second it happens, and then I can stop and correct it, or not make it worse, you know.
that's the game changer to me from a mental side of things, from the mental performance side of things, from the mindset going into a race is just that being so capable and so competent, you know, as a wrench, like being a wizard, man. I mean, you said I showed my mechanics today, the exchange when I asked you, hey, what would we have to do to make this a drop bar? I showed them, and their head was spinning, you know, just as far as like, okay, how would we do this? Like, I was like, hey, this guy's a wizard, and I think when you have that level of competence and you are that capable, yeah, that's one of my greatest insecurities going into a big race, whether it's
Yeah,
something like the Crusher and the Tusher, or the Breck Epic, or a Leadville. Is I'm going to be meeting with my mechanics, you know, before we go in, just getting some quick fire tips again on, because that's not a skill set that I have, that I'm, yeah. So I
I'm
think,
always blown away by these pros not knowing like
yeah,
what their bike's doing, you know? And I'm not saying every pro is like that. And I understand a lot of them have mechanics and pit crews, and that kind of solves that problem for them. But like guys like me, I'm just like, you don't even know how your bike works. And like, I mean, that's a huge liability in my head. I, speaking about your mechanics in Montana there, it's like I I'm gonna give them some credit. Like I live this every day. Like
yeah,
every day I'm doing like I'm pushing the boundaries of what the manufacturer recommendations are. I've tested it. I can I also like I don't know this for sure, but I definitely have like a semi photographic memory.
mm, yeah,
And so like
okay,
it's really easy for me to like I can dial up part specs from bikes from like 5 years ago and tell
yeah,
you right now. And so like that I don't want to like be down on other mechanics because like it's not easy to do what we do here. And I'm fortunate enough that the way that we've kind of positioned our social media in our shop, like I get to know, like I'm always on the bleeding edge of what's going on. And the way I get to do that is because like me going to this Mohican race is actually, I mean, that's a big advertisement for the store. I know a lot of other shops sponsor riders, but like me being the shop's sponsored rider, I think is unique, where I'm the owner, one of the owners, and I'm also out there being the ad at the same time, you know? Um,
You're the pro in the pro and the Joe. You are an industry pro. Like when it comes to the wrench, hence the wrench on the cover art, man. You are very much a pro, man. I think you're kind of in a unique sphere and league in that sense. So,
you know what I'm not a pro at though,
yeah, what's
is
that?
figuring out how to make this camera work.
Okay. Well, hey, and I know you say you're not a hoops guy, but like first and foremost, before we get too deep, I just again I'm sorry about your Pacers, man. I know Game 6 is coming back to Indianapolis tomorrow night. I know you're not going to be tuned in, but we're going to be tuned in. So I'm hoping your guys can push it to Game 7, so we can get a Game 7, which is one of the best phrases in all of sports. Yeah.
So, what is so I thought they were done, so they're not done.
No,
They still
yeah.
keep.
So yes, they're down 3-2. They're down 3-2 to the
Oh,
Knicks. So
that's
they,
not as
yeah,
bad as I
yeah.
thought.
So
I
it's
thought it was over.
best of seven series. So they'll be playing Friday night, tomorrow night in Indianapolis. The place will be jumping, trying to push it to a Game 7. Tyrese Halliburton will be doing his thing. Yeah, it'll be a good one. It'll be a
You
fun one.
know, all of my basketball knowledge comes from the Pat McAfee show, which
Okay.
is a football, which is a
Yeah,
football show.
primarily,
So
yeah.
like I know he's like
You
it's
glean
off,
a little.
yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, like it's off season, so like like he's there at the
yeah,
games, and
yeah,
they're because I do know there was some controversy with some of the calls that were made.
yeah. There's
The Pacers like didn't have a lot of calls go their
Yeah,
way in the
yeah.
first two
No,
games.
there was some real questionable calls. Coach was not happy. Coach, I think they got
Yeah.
a big fine on that one. They got a big fine on that one. Hey, something I was just thinking I wanted to touch upon when you said how when these races get harder,
Mhm.
one of the athletes I'm working with right now, we just got out of a session, really, really strong hooper. Anybody who knows the basketball world, like this girl reminds me of a young Paige Beckers, okay, who's a star at UConn. She's Paige Beckers. You guys just signed Caitlin Clark, drafted Caitlin Clark there in Indiana
Yeah,
for
I
the
know about that.
WNBA team. Her kind of counterpart in college basketball would be Paige Beckers, who's a real hooper. This girl reminds me of her, and we're working with her. She's a prospect, Division I prospect, but we're trying to help her work on her body language and on her facial expressions, things that are very visible to coaches. She's got great game, but some things she needs to work on. And so we work a lot on self-efficacy and self-talk and these different
Oh my God.
tools. But I'll tell you something I believe about you as far as like we talk about handling hard better. And I think
Mhm.
one of the reasons you handle hard better and handle hard so well is that swim background. I know we've talked about that
Yeah.
before, but I really believe that. I mean, we're on this 5 a.m. train right now. Jesse, this is going to be tough to pull off. I mean, I just had a 16-hour training week. I'm typically shooting for 7.5 to 8 hours of sleep a night. I've not gotten over 6 hours of sleep since this new swim schedule has started because I'm just not able to fall asleep at 8:30, 9 o'clock. NBA playoffs are on. It's light outside, and yet I'm up at 4:50 making breakfast and getting her to the pool. So the recovery side of things, and we know sleep is the superpower of recovery. The modality of all recovery modalities is suffering right now, and so yeah, I think seeing her do those hard things in the pool, hard workout today, meeting with her coach today, the Olympian, the national champion at University of Texas. I was telling him about you, showing him the cover art, and he loved hearing that your background as a swimmer. So I fully believe that's a part of your tenacity, your willpower, your ability to handle hard things the way you do.
I remember in high school, Indiana is not a big state of like we don't close school for snow, but like sometimes they do. They do like they'll close it down if it's too much. And I remember like I grew up, so I'm from Bloomington, Indiana, where
Okay.
IU is, and I grew up like as a townie there, and I remember I was like probably a 5 mile drive for me to go to high school.
Okay.
I remember we would get to swim practice, like I would drive like I can't believe.
Did you guys have a pool on campus or?
Yeah,
Yeah.
in the high
Nice.
school. Yeah,
Okay.
Indiana's a big swimming state,
Yeah.
Michael. I'm
Yeah.
sure you know
Yeah.
that. Like
Yeah.
I think whenever I,
in 3 weeks, in less than a month, the USA, the trials, Olympic trials are going to be there at
yeah, and
Lucas Oil Stadium.
oh, it's at Lucas Oil. That's sick.
Lucas Oil
That's super.
Stadium. Yeah.
Okay,
I
so
just got chicken. I just got chicken skin like a mug on that.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like I grew up going to the IUPUI natatorium like
Okay.
every other weekend for a meet, you know, like that's
Wow.
insane to say. Like
Wow.
that, like I
Yeah.
know that place like the back of my hand because we used to go like run around the campus of it, like waiting for our, you know what I mean? Like I grew up there.
Yeah.
And so the anyway, what I was trying to say is we would like drive to school in like dangerous weather at like 4:30 for swim practice. And then we would do swim practice and they would cancel school like while we were in the pool and we'd have to drive home. Like
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
like they had because nobody woke up to cancel school yet, but we
Yeah.
were there.
You
And
were
we were
there doing that work.
at
Yeah.
school, yeah, and then they would cancel it. It was so
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
Those were the craziest days. But then you know what?
What's up?
We'd go back and do practice after they canceled
Yeah.
school. Yeah.
Get that 2 a day in. I'm telling you, they're staring at that black line, and you know I'm a swimmer. I do these open water events. I'm not fast. I'm definitely, faster on the bike than I am in that water. But man, staring at that black line, those workouts. I mean, the workout it would have been the equivalent of. They don't call it a VO2 max workout, but that workout today was straight up VO2 max, short recoveries. They were blasting them. So yeah, no, that's something we love about you, Jesse. Hey, I got a couple things I wanted. I know you got.
Can I
Go
talk
ahead.
about something that really lit me
Absolutely. I
up
want
that
to
you
hear it.
said, and then we'll jump into that.
Yes.
So you were talking about this basketball player
Okay.
who's effectively working on her social media skills because she's going to she's attempting to become I'm assuming a pro athlete, right?
Yeah. I
That
mean,
is so
strong collegiate, and then that's her
yeah.
dream. Yep, that's
I
her dream is to
resonate
play
with
pro.
that so hard because like that's why I'm on this podcast right now. Like I'm not in her position, but it's like it is one of the most, if not the most important skill to have in 2024. I always like there's a lot of young cyclists around here, and I interact with them a lot, and I talk to them about like, hey, like you want to work for us, like we're doing this YouTube channel, and it's like you effectively like we'll pay you to go race and stuff, right? And this is I've been told this multiple times, which is that hey, after college I really want to pursue being a pro cyclist.
Mhm.
And there's this giant disconnect between being a pro cyclist and just performing.
Yeah,
But like
yeah.
there's
Which is not
also
enough in
that's not
2024.
enough. No,
Yeah,
it's not enough.
yeah.
You need to be marketable.
And
And so
in fact, somebody like you see some of the athletes out there who are not. I mean, there's only a few freaks like Keegan Swenson,
yeah.
like, I mean, we're right now there's two freaks, one on the female end and one on the male end. As far as that, when I say freaks, I mean this with the utmost respect. I'm talking about like their physiological freaks. I would call them, who also work like incredibly hard. Not like it's just a gift of the physiology, probably outwork everybody. But yeah, you also see athletes out there, and I'm not gonna throw shade or names, but like some of these names we've talked about who are out there, and they're marketable. Whether it's a podcast, whether it's killing it on social media, whether they're just more sellable, and it's less about their performances, and it's just more about what they're putting out into the world. And I think that's an exciting thing. It's an exciting thing, and yeah.
It's like look at how far you can take it though. Like look at me, dude. We're talking about me going to Mohican in Ohio, and like the doors that are open for me from these companies to like have them like they're like, oh Jesse, like Wahoo gave me a computer. Like these companies
and that element, that's my favorite computer there. I know Eric.
Yeah.
I know.
But my point is, my point isn't like, oh, look at all this cool stuff I get. The point is like, I've worked really hard on making myself marketable to an extreme. I mean, like I'm doing a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And that's really my priority. But like the doors it's opened for a guy like me who is not on a Keegan Swenson level,
Yeah.
are even close. I'm not even close to that.
Yeah.
But I'm getting like stuff that nobody like. Yeah, like I mean, I'm not like people who are gonna beat me at the race have less factory support than I do, and it's all because of this. And
Yeah.
you don't
Yeah.
have to be a special athlete to create something for yourself. Is
Look
my
at look at the partnership we've developed, the collaboration. You
yeah.
sponsoring me, like I'm not any kind of ambassadorship that I've done. I'm a storyteller. I've written books, articles. We're going to try and get the third book, Deep Roots, published. Need to keep putting that out there this year. We're going to try and get Deep Roots published, but I'm a storyteller. And I think ultimately, like if you can tell a story, the great Kobe Bryant had 10 isms, like his rule of 10. And the last one was learn storytelling, and he was writing books, children's books, in the time of his tragic passing. And so, yeah, there's so many different ways to storytell today. It's not just writing books. It's what we're doing right now. It's your videos. I saw a new video popped up today in my feed.
Video days.
Yeah, I saw the Cervelo Aspero, which I want to talk about, and I saw the new red drop, the SRAM red drop. So dropping videos, podcast. I think there's tremendous power in the word, and there's certainly tremendous power in storytelling. And if you can storytell well, you're going to add value. And I think that's why people gravitate towards you, Jesse, is because you're adding value. And ultimately that's what it's all about. Yeah.
I'm so excited for like, because we're so new at this still, like what the future is going to be with it, because like it's completely changed my life. Like this is for a different time, but sometime we'll talk about the origin of whenever I started to try to do social media. Put that on your list of stuff to talk about.
I got it. I'm writing it down.
It's too long of a story for right now, but like that should be a whole episode. Because like I just want to put that out in the world. Like if you're a young person trying to like make a name for yourself, like it's not results you're after. It's what Michael just explained in great detail. Like results help and definitely can give you a boost, but it's really, really about your brand and your likeness and name, likeness and image. In any sport, it could be swimming, it could be basketball, but cycling is a very brand driven sport, and so it's actually kind of easier to get because the brands are competing against themselves. So like getting a brand on board is actually it's really not that hard. Like you can get a discount from somebody.
I didn't work that hard for this bicycle station sponsorship, but I got my guy here, man. It's like a brotherhood. Before a presentation, Jesse, I was just thinking about. I'm looking right now at this. I've got this. Let's see if I can hold this. This is from a TED Talk I did. Okay. So this is this is on my desk from a TED Talk, and it made me think about right before I went on stage. And I typically, I'll use some mantras, definitely use some positive self-talk. But right before I go on stage, one of the things that I always repeat to myself is add value. Add value, add value. Like let's inspire, let's uplift, let's elevate, and let's add value. And those are questions I ask myself before I post a blog, before I post something on social media. Before we post a podcast, is it adding value? Like the questions I ask myself: is it inspiring? Okay, I always want to inspire. Is it uplifting? Does it constitute storytelling? And does it add value? Okay, if I can check all those boxes, it's a great piece. If you can check a couple of those, I feel like, the fifth I would throw out that I ask myself often is, does it make people think? And I think that's something like we say in the intro to the podcast. If you're listening to it, not watching it, is this show may not what do I say? It may not change your world, but it may just change your mind. It may just change your mind. And so I think you touched upon something. A big part of my work with athletes, especially athletes who are working or who are competing in sports like swimming. Swimming, how deflating it can be because it's so time-based. And so I'm really talking to athletes about, like, how did it feel? how did you feel? Like, how was the catch? Were you holding water? Were you moving water before, like evaluating, checking in with yourself before you look up at the time and get that, oh, damn, I added a second. Like, how did it feel first before you look at the clock? Because a big part of my work, and I think any of us working in the mental performance arena, is to help. A big mission of mine is always to help the athletes loosen the grip, if you will, help them disentangle how much they allow their results to impact their sense of self. Like not saying the results don't matter. To a lot of these athletes, the results, I mean, you work that hard, the results matter, but not allowing it to get so wrapped up in our sense of self to where we are black and white. Because when we're black and white about results, in life and in sports, it's going to be a miserable existence more often than not, if we're not able to disentangle. And that's one thing I appreciated about where you're going with this is it really shines a light on, I think, value we can add without being so focused on what are the results. Like Jesse Smith, you're going to add value and you're going to have some great storytelling and we're going to have a great show and you're going to have stuff to put on the channel just by showing up, man, just by showing up. We don't always have to show out. Like sometimes just showing up, is enough. So,
yeah. Cause and then apply a business lens to that. Like I'm going to make an awesome video about Mohican. That's why I bought this camera that I'm going to learn I have a day to learn how to use it.
What is it? Is it new GoPro? What is
DJI Action 4. I went with DJI because we bought some DJI microphones and they all kind of work together. So I just kind of kept it in the same family. I have nothing against GoPro. Seems like all the tech vloggers are like, pick which one you like feel better. They're both amazing cameras.
Nice.
But like, think about it from a marketing perspective. So my video not only is going to be a nice marketing tool for the race, it's going to be a tool for anybody who is thinking about maybe signing up for that race.
Absolutely.
And then the brands that are associated with my experience at that race get the exposure from the video. And I'm not saying I'm getting 1 million views here, but like a couple thousand views for a cycling channel is actually really solid in the grand scheme of things. I mean, like some of our videos, like you look at like the paid for advertising, it's like, I mean, we're not that far off those guys, like at the end of the day. Nice. And no hate on them. Like that's their job and they do a great job at it, but we can add value for brands by, I mean, like, I can't say too much, but like, there's going to be something really special on my bike. I don't have it yet, but like, unreleased
for this race
for this race. Yeah.
Wow.
Like, I won't say anything about it other than like, I'm going to have a super special thing on my bike that is going to be part of the marketing angle with this video.
And what bike you going to be on?
The Epic 8.
Epic 8.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. The Epic 8. But yeah, I mean, and like, I've been working with the brand to be like, hey, I have this race coming up. Like, let's get this going for the race, like that's boom. Now we're really cooking with gas there,
Nice.
But yeah, that's kind of my whole spiel on the, like you can really like leverage yourself and be valuable to people and like the knowledge that you have as a person is valuable. And, just getting it out in the world is the hard part, I think, actually. Cause like, that's where I'm sitting here. I'm like, I don't know how to use this camera, but I got to figure it out.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. All right, man, let's riff on a few things. I know you're heading out tomorrow. I want to talk a little bit more about the race this weekend. I know we're going all in on that NUE series, that ultra endurance series, and so we got a big one coming this weekend. But let's start with, I got 3 things I want to hit here. So we'll kind of riff through them. I want to talk about the cutthroat identity crisis, because I think there's some people that could relate to this. I'm calling it the cutthroat conundrum. I definitely want to hear a little bit more. I know we talked about the peach. Oh my gosh, that buttery peach Cervelo Aspero. But now that you've got the video up, I'd love to hear a little bit more about that now that you've had some time in the saddle. And then I want to talk Thunderburts, man. I want to talk tires a little bit. I want to tell you my like what makes me a little squirrely, if you will, about the Thunderburts, and get your opinion as far as what I'm gonna run at the the crusher in the tusher in July. And ultimately, I will tell you this little teaser. I decided, Jesse, after talking to the crew, like, I'm just going to run the BC40 as is, man. I'm going to run the BC40 as is. I'm going to put I've got some SQ Lab, kind of like, what are yours? What are yours? Togs, or what do you like to run? Togs. So I've got some SQ Lab, like, the little extenders I'm going to throw on there. I really want to use the crusher and the tusher as a it's a month out from Leadville. There's a lot of similarities in that race, and so I'm gonna ride what I brought, and I'm gonna race that bike that I'm gonna race at Leadville. And so yeah, we can touch more about that later. But I am gonna have to go. We're gonna have to get a little squirrely on the tire setup. That's the thing we're gonna switch up, and I'd like to do whatever we're gonna throw on the Cutthroat as we work through this Cutthroat Conundrum. Those are gonna be the tires I'll race at the Crusher, most likely, just because we don't all have access to unlimited tires like Jesse Smith at the bicycle station. So let's talk. Let's start with the Cutthroat Conundrum here. You threw something out at me the other night, or last night, I want to say. Didn't see it till this morning, man. Just been in this sleep debt haze. But you threw something out because I asked you about, we're having some shifting issues. The Cutthroat does not come with, it's a 1x, a SRAM Rival 1. It's a 2019. It leaves something to be desired on it for a race like the Crusher and the Tusher. And so we put that Leonardi 9x45, I want to say it is, on there as the cassette. Having some issues with it. The shifting's not great going into those big gears, or the smaller gears, the bigger plates, and getting a lot of skippage. So I reached out to you last night. I'm like, hey, you had this rad idea about getting me into a GRX. I was like, what would the Access look like? The older Access look like? Because it certainly doesn't have the UDH, so we couldn't go transmission. What could we get into that would be the best fit? And your response was, what we got to decide is whether we're going to go essentially all in on this Cutthroat, on the rebuild of the Cutthroat, or whether we're going to sell it and go with something else. So that creates a very interesting Cutthroat conundrum, especially when you're a Joe and you're a Joe balling on a budget, So talk to me. I would love to hear some of your thoughts.
So like, you get into this financial situation where you're basically about to dump half the cost of a new bike into your bike, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think this is a conundrum. How many people do you think? I mean, this is a conundrum that's going to be relatable to people.
Oh yeah.
Right
100%,
now. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
And the Cutthroat has real resale value.
Okay.
That's a niche bike that people want. And, so like, selling that bike probably won't be that hard. Now, if we were talking like your run of the mill, I don't know, like
checkpoint. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, Trek.
Yeah.
But your
it's a great. We love the bike. That's actually one of the ones I'm considering.
But like Trek's resale value is not going to be the same as. And again, Salsa is not really that way either. But it's because you have a Cutthroat. Yeah. It's not because of the brand. Salsa makes good stuff, but like the Cutthroat is one of those bikes that you should be able to sell really quick and really easily. So then we can kind of pull the funds that we were gonna spend on the upgrade plus the money that you gain from the selling of the bike, and then you can start to play around and get something maybe new. So that's kind of the situation you're in. And
so here's the conundrum. To me, like, what I love about the Cutthroat. I love that it's a drop bar mountain bike. I love that. I mean, I think it's great you can run a fork on it, but my favorite thing about the Cutthroat, I like the geometry. I mean, it's not the most aero geometry, but it's comfortable. It's comfortable. I don't feel like I take as much of a beating out there on the long rides. Certainly not aero by any means, but man, I can put 2.4s on 2.4s on there. I routinely run 2.2s. We're about to put some 2.35s on there, and that to me is the what makes it a little bit of a unicorn of a bike, if you will.
Well, and it is because I'm actively trying to figure out a way to buy that bike, but the way I want it, and
Yeah,
no one makes
yeah,
it.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
the
I was looking at the Super Caliber last night. I was looking at different. I was like, "What about the man? I wonder if we could. Can we get our hands on a Specialized? Did Specialized stop making the higher end Epic hardtail since they've got
so
the world?
they did briefly stop making that bike, and actually we did a drop bar build on through the grapevine. I acquired an old S Works Epic
Okay,
hardtail frame.
yeah, yeah,
And by the way, I owned one. I had the ultralight no paint
yeah.
version, and
Nice.
I regret selling that so much, man.
Mm.
It was like the lightest hardtail ever made at the time. It might still be, I don't know.
Because
But
that's where my mind was going last night.
so they
Well,
actually,
yeah.
you're in luck because they make that bike still. It's a
Okay.
base model.
Okay.
It comes with the mechanical GX and like a middle of the road SID fork, but they updated the frame. It's got the UDH now.
Hmm.
So the old Epic Hardtail didn't have the UDH, and the
Okay.
new one does. So we could definitely go down that path. I mean, because then you're kind of in the mode of like Laura Wilcox has ridden that
Yeah.
drop
Yeah.
bar Epic Hardtail all over the
Unbound
world.
XL. Oh yeah, Unbound XL, and then certainly all Tour Divide. All those big rides, those big rides she's done up in Alaska.
I'll
Yeah.
spoil our video, but the one we built Trey was like 19 pounds. So
Okay. Wow.
yeah.
Nice.
Um,
Nice. Because I mean, as far as a gravel bike, I mean, the one that is most appealing to me based off of watching all your videos as far as the tire clearance, which would be primo of importance to me, is that MV Mog. But
yeah,
but that MV Mog, I believe that if I remember right from maybe 2 episodes ago, maybe our first conversation, that MV Mog comes in at like 55, 59, for a frame. Is that not
it's
right? Yeah.
55, but
55 for a
giving
frame.
giving Envy a little bit
Yeah.
of credit on that $5,500 price
Yeah,
point.
because I know
You
it's
get the bar and the
get the
stem
bar,
and
get
the
the stem.
C-post, which
Okay.
are all
C
very
post.
expensive in their own
Nice
right,
stuff.
but
Yeah.
you can't run that bike without the bar and the stem
Okay.
specifically. So,
Okay.
but still, like, I mean, that's a very premium
Yeah.
bike.
Yeah.
It would accomplish your goal though.
Yeah.
It doesn't
Yeah.
have 2.4, but I have 2.1s in mine right now.
2.1s. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
So like that, I mean,
And it's
honestly,
good,
we're
and it's good looking, man, and it's local here. It's local, like it's just
yeah,
down the road in Utah. When we talk fuel, I know you're using that SIS. I've heard some call it sis. Whatever it is, SIS. We've used Flow, Scratch, Carbo Rocket, Goo, Tailwind, all that stuff. And man, I can tell you, Tailwind, Durango, Colorado; Scratch, Boulder, Colorado; Flow, Boulder, Colorado; Carbo Rocket, Salt Lake City; Goo, I think, is Berkeley, California. It's important to be, as I know it is to you, where stuff comes from. And so I like that's something I've appreciated. I don't have any envy on any of my bikes. I think we all have a little envy of those who do. But yeah, I like the colorway. It's a pretty bike. Yeah. So that's definitely something to think about. Something to think
the
about.
the Mog I think is like going to be a precursor. We live in a time where gravel bikes, everybody has a gravel bike. They're all the same, and the Mog is kind of the outlier.
Yeah.
Um, and I just don't understand where we're at with the category, honestly, because it doesn't make any sense that everybody's bikes are so outdated.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
frustrating to me because I'm just like, why is no one making this bike? Like, it
Yeah.
doesn't make any sense to me. I Everybody wants it. It just doesn't exist. And
Yeah.
you actually kind of own it already, but like again, it's old. It's
Yeah.
like not it yeah, it's not really modern. The Mog is the only bike that has the full aero cable routing and the big tire clearance and
Okay.
the UDH period. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure you could get something custom. Um, because basically, so like I'm trying to theory craft. What I want is to buy a mosaic or a titanium frame.
Out of Colorado.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it doesn't have to be Mosaic. I don't care
Yeah.
who it is,
Just
but
yeah.
yeah. And what I want to do is Chris King makes a headset that's compatible with the Envy stem.
Okay.
And what I want to do is get a boost wheel space bike with the full aero integration. And
Nice.
the roadblock for that is that if I can't, nobody makes a fork that's boost that also has the cable running through the headset.
Hmm.
At least that I have researched. I'm sure if you know of a fork that would work for this situation, please let me know, because that is the only thing stopping me from building a completely no-show cable drop bar mountain bike. It's just that fork right now. And I almost want to reach out to somebody that like works with carbon to see if we could like modify one. I know like drilling into a steel tube is kind of scary, but like that's kind of on my mind right now. So kind of the same problem. It's actually the same exact problem you're having. It's just on a different scale. Um, because yeah, your cutthroat rocks, and
Yeah,
it's
I love the Cutthroat. You know, and again, throwing money into a 2019. You know, in the same breath, you know, as an environmental studies guy, environmental science guy, I like the reusing, and I'm not finding, yeah, other than potentially that MV Mog, like really not finding what I'm looking for out there. As far as that, even last night the search got going, you know, after getting that message from you, and I'm like, man, I'm just not seeing like a modern, like you say, a Cutthroat, you know.
I don't understand how the cutthroat has existed for so long and no one copied it.
Yeah.
Like, why isn't Specialized and like the why don't the big dogs have a bike like that?
Yeah.
Like, okay, like look at the Checkpoint and the Diverge, and like obviously the next iterations of those bikes are going to go
They're gonna
bigger.
go big on the wheels. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
because
UDH.
freaking like Specialized sells the Crux.
Yeah.
And now they sell the Roubaix, that the gravel, like they've been racing the Roubaix at the gravel races. So now they have two racing gravel bikes, and then they have a gravel bike that is the Diverge. Why not go big with that one? And I hope they do. I've been begging them to do it. So
Yeah.
like, I mean, I'm just one dude, but like, I really hope the Diverge is something monster truck style, because that's what I think the customers want right now.
That I mean, and I think that's why a part of me right now feels like it's just time to hold out. You know, ride this Salsa, not invest much in it, and hold out until that happens. Like it feels like it's got to be coming down the pipeline. You know yeah, I think that would be bloody brilliant. You know, that would be bloody brilliant.
Yeah. So personally, what I think you should do is, if you can pony up for the Mog, it's an excellent bike and it would make you happy and it would be awesome. But like otherwise, like I don't know, like I can't, like if I knew about something, I would have told you privately, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
like
yeah.
I just don't know. Like this is like truly something that I want it to, and it doesn't exist as of right now in my sphere of knowledge. And so, yeah, like I don't hate upgrading the Cutthroat in this specific situation, because otherwise, like we're gonna build something like Epic Hardtail.
Yeah,
That's the best answer
yeah,
to like a new bike is,
yeah.
let's build a custom Epic Hardtail out of that bike that it's the same exact geometry and bike. It's just got a UDH now.
Mhm.
Um,
I mean, the
and
dream build to me would be, I mean, I think the most brilliant build I've seen that would be the dream build is the Epic World Cup. It's what
oh
you built. Like that's the dream build, but you know, you're talking 6,000 for a frame, you know?
well, we would buy a bike at
Yeah,
that point.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
They actually, Michael, they had the Pro, the Epic World Cup Pro complete bike is
Nine,
on
is it?
sale for $7,000.
Oh wow.
So like that's actually a real option. I mean, and like I've taken advantage of that sale for tons of people, just because like you get an EXO transmission, carbon wheels, and the frame and fork.
Hmm.
I mean, it's legit, and all you would need to do is drop bar it, which is
Yeah.
not hard. Couple $100 to do that, and then you're set.
You guys could do that in house and send it. Yeah.
Yeah, we could just
Yeah,
do
you
it
guys
and like
just yeah, it's
it
just
would be
what
done and send it out. So like
okay.
that, if you're wanting that, then like let's do that. That would be great. That'd be perfect.
Okay, let's wrap when we cut this thing off, man. I mean, this is, hey, folks, this is why you can have your local mechanic, you can have your local shop, you go get some lube, you go pick up some tires, but man, if you need a surgery, like I'm not doing that here in Bozeman, Montana. I'm going to the University of Utah down in Salt Lake. Okay, if I need a bike. Okay. If I need to get creative, I'm going to the Wizard. I'm going to Jesse Smith at the bicycle station, and you can too. You can too. And if you're listening right now, hit us up on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, like us, give us a review, give us that 5-star review, if you will. We'd love it. And yeah, back to the show, So let's jump into this one. I was pretty stoked on that Cervelo Aspero, just as far as, man, what a price point. Like looking at those, good looking bike. For me, the 45, 47, whatever it was, I want to say 45
It's
max
45.
wheel. Yeah, so 45. So just, yeah, let's give us a little breakdown for people who are a little, and then also just the geometry for me, for the Sparrows, little more aero and racy than I need. Yeah,
It's a
road
road.
bike. I'm not looking for a road bike, looking for that drop bar mountain bike, but there's a lot of people out there who this bike, man, seems like the bike for more people than not. So tell us a little bit about your experience here of late on that Cervelo.
Well, and it is the bike, man. That's one of the most impressive bikes I've ridden in a long time.
Mm.
And I'm blown away by it. I'm just straight up blown away by it. It rocks, dude. And I've ridden it twice now. One of the rides I did a solo. I like this app called Wander Earth that tracks like where I've ridden. And so like I'm always going to these really weird places, and just I like to just fill in the map, and like I'll do circles around the town to fill in the streets. But anyway, I went and did a ride like that. It was a gravel ride about a half an hour outside of Columbus in the farmland. And hit some gravel out there that I'd never been on. Nothing crazy cool, but it was still like farmland gravel.
Yeah,
Like I was
yeah.
riding through people's farms and tractors were waving at me. The bike, there's two things about this bike that are blowing me away. One of them is obvious, and it's the bike is super aerodynamic.
Mm.
And like I don't have any like way to quantify that other than this is what it feels like when you ride it. It doesn't accelerate very fast, like at all. Like it doesn't accelerate fast, but it holds speed like no other. It feels like an aero road bike in that sense, where it's like once you get it moving, it will continue to move. And I know that for a fact because I rode it on our local Wednesday Worlds ride last night. Now, every climb I had to sprint up because the bike is so much slower. I have 45 Schwalbe G1 RSs on it, so like it's still a gravel bike.
Mm.
But like I was pulling no problem. Like we were going like 30 miles an hour, no problem. It's just the acceleration that's the problem. But it's a gravel bike, so uh it's but yeah, like it must be aero. Like I don't think they even advertise it like it is, but it definitely is. And I don't know why, but it really holds speed well. The more important thing and the more impressive thing, that's the most comfortable gravel bike I've ever ridden.
What? Okay, so that was the question I was going to ask
Yeah.
you. So I hear that sounds like a real juxtaposed, like juxtaposition there. Like to me, like you're saying as you're saying all this, I'm like, okay, but what's it like to be in the saddle? Like, is there any comfort to it? When I hear racy or aerodynamic, I inherently think the opposite of the Cutthroat. Which is not aero. It is, and it is not racy, but it's comfortable. So I'm sitting here thinking, yeah, but my problem is, that this does not sound like a comfortable bike. So let's hear about that.
I don't know why it's comfortable either. It doesn't, like, I'm with you, dude. Like I look at it, I'm like, oh, this is going to be a super stiff race bike, and it's not. I mean, it doesn't feel like a noodle at all, but like it's amazing. I like you. I could ride that all day, and I have a serious back injury, so like
Yeah.
I know what I'm talking about whenever I'm talking about stiff and comfortable bikes. Like I'm blown away by it. And I've ridden at
Wow.
least 20 different gravel bikes. This one is the most comfortable one, period. Like just period. I don't understand it. Uh, Extremely impressed by it. I can ride that bike all day. I mean I can, and I can't say that about a lot of bikes in the genre. I yeah, I mean
And
it.
then when you throw in how spicy it looks, like that's a beautiful bike. The lines are
Mhm.
beautiful, the colors are beautiful, and then you throw in the price point on some of those builds. Like it sounds to me like this Cervelo Asperos for the vast majority of people out there. If you're
It
hunting for
should
a
be.
gravel bike right
It
now.
should, if you're not a tire size guy or girl, like if that's not one of your thing, that's the only thing that it
which
doesn't have.
which most people aren't. When people
Yeah,
see
like if
me
you just want
towing
a
the line
normal.
with anywhere from 50C like 2.0 to 2.2, like literally the comment I always get, because you know there's always going to be some pavement, is like people look at me and be like, man, you better get out ahead of us before we hit that pavement. That's a lot of rubber. They'll say that's a lot of rubber on that pavement. And so I think for most people that's not what they're looking for, you know, in this
Yeah,
genre.
no. So like if you're looking for an actual normal gravel bike and you're not in the weird, like I don't think what we're doing is that weird because it's pretty popular. I saw three drop bar mountain bikes at our Cars Crusher race.
Oh
Like
wow,
it's a real
nice.
thing now.
Okay. Okay.
I'm building one for a customer
And
too.
not all people that you built them for?
No, I didn't build
No.
these. I
Oh
just it
wow.
was just people
Okay.
that showed up. I mean, they knew who we were, but
Yeah,
like
they
they
watched the
clearly,
channel.
yeah,
They
they
got
watched
the
the channel.
idea. Yeah,
Um, which is good. That's a good
yeah,
thing.
yeah.
But the thing what I'm trying to say is like if you just want like a normal ass gravel bike, like you got to take a look at that Aspero. Like you got to.
Wow.
It's slightly heavy. Like it's a pound heavier than my Mog, but it's also more than a pound heavier than my Mog because my Mog has 2.1s on it and the Sparrow has 45, so
Okay.
it's
Yeah,
significantly
yeah.
heavier. It's about a pound. I'm gonna go ahead and say it's about a pound and a half heavier than the Mog is.
But you found it more comfortable than the Mog?
Yeah, it's more comfortable than the Mog.
What aspect of it, as somebody who also has some, you know, some back stuff with that ankylosing
You
spondylitis
just don't feel
diagnosis,
any
like
of the
what
ground.
you don't feel? Yeah.
It's just nothing.
Okay.
Like you just don't
Wow.
feel it. Like
And
it's
tell me, what was your experience on the previous rendition, the previous iteration of the Aspero? Like, what do
I
you
don't know.
see?
This
You
is the
hadn't
first. So
first one we carried.
let me say this too. This is my first Cervelo experience.
Mm.
So
You
we
guys did get the mountain bike. It looked like you guys didn't you guys do a
yeah.
build for somebody?
I didn't. That wasn't
You didn't
mine.
ride it. Yeah,
That was a client's
client.
bike.
Okay.
We actually sold a lot of those mountain bikes. So what happened here? Let me explain this from a business perspective. The so like I work really closely with the local sales reps. Like I'm always like I'm texting them like every day about stuff, and that's just the way I like to do business. I like to be involved and understand. And the the longtime Cervelo sales rep in our region is he's working towards retiring. And so what they did is they now have like a co Cervelo sales rep for the region. And I don't know the guy who's had the territory forever. I don't know him. But they gave the job of like the guy who's going to kind of start to transition to take it over to a buddy of mine
Okay.
named Casey. And like, I mean, I don't know Casey that well, but like I've raced Casey a bunch. He's just like a local guy. He lives down south in the Louisville area, and so I've just known him for a bit, and he's been working with the brand. And whenever he started out, he was like, "Hey, we got to get you doing Cervelo." And like, I'm not like personally like I'm not gonna lie, like I was like, man, I don't know, I'm not like that into Cervelo, like but like I just because of my relationship with him, like I was like, yeah, well, like we'll do it, whatever. And I didn't buy anything. I was like, we'll do it on I always kind of try to take it slow. I'm like, yeah, we'll do special orders. And then well, and guess what? Then we started selling Cervelos. And so we sold like five or six of those mountain bikes, Michael.
Mm.
And let me rephrase that too. They had a really big sale on them, like like it was like 30% off. Like it was super good
And
sale.
isn't that bike essentially, tell me if I'm wrong, the Blur? Like, I mean, it
Oh,
looks,
yeah.
yeah.
So let me explain that really quick. So Pawn Holdings owns both brands,
Okay. Santa
and
Cruz and Cervelo.
well, and a
Okay.
bunch of others too.
Okay.
Like they own Canada. I mean, I could go down the list. It's probably like 10
Okay.
brands. Um, so so what they did, which is this is really smart. This is actually I know it's fun to make fun of them for like making the same bike, but it's actually really smart what they did. Cervelo designed the carbon part of it and the geometry. It's Cervelo's carbon layup. It's not Santa
Okay.
Cruz's.
Okay.
Um, and like I'm not claiming that they are making those bikes, but like whenever they go to a factory, they say, "Hey, this is what we want the carbon layup to be like." And so it's not like they like Cervelo's not producing the bike. I'm not trying to say that, but like it is a different layup than the Santa Cruz. And so then from there, guess what the most expensive R&D development, I guess I already like I don't know why I said development, but the most expensive R&D part of a bike,
Okay.
a full suspension mountain bike, is the suspension design
Yeah. Yeah.
and
I would
making
think
that
so.
work. It might not be the most expensive, but it's one of the it's very hard. You have brands that have been making the same suspension design and iterating on it for centuries
Decade. Yeah.
or decades. Sorry, not
Decades. Yeah.
centuries.
Yeah. But
Decades.
decades for sure. I mean,
Yeah,
yeah.
decades. And so like the FSR specialized stuff, I mean like I know my Epic 8 doesn't have a true FSR anymore because they deleted the they deleted the one pivot, but it's still the same design. They just the
Yeah.
carbon flexes. That is the iteration of the FSR. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so they have Santa Cruz with the VPP suspension design, right? Well, they don't have to freaking design it. It already works. And it's owned by the same company. So they can just say, "Hey, Santa Cruz, like we want some help with this suspension linkage design." And they're like, "Yeah, for sure." So they took the suspension linkage design from the Blur, and then all of a sudden Cervelo can make a full suspension mountain bike that's good without having to worry about making a crappy suspension design
Yeah.
that frankly wouldn't be as good as the Santa Cruz
Yeah.
design because it's a tested design. And so that's why that's why they look the same, because it is the same suspension design. But yeah, just to answer that question a little bit, but yeah, we sold a lot of those.
Nice.
And so then now, that basically shows me that the customer demand for Cervelo is there. And obviously, I mean, like, yeah, like
It's a
I
big
was kind of
name.
wrong. I'm kind of
Yeah.
wrong.
They're good looking bikes, man. They're good
But
looking
now I'm back.
bikes. It's a,
But so now that we've kind of like proven that our customers want Cervelos, like now I'm like, okay, I'm jumping in. And the
okay.
Aspero coming out was the perfect thing for me. Like jump on an
Great
Aspero, see
launching
what it's
point for
about.
you. Yeah.
Yeah, because like I mean, to be honest with you, like I'm so like full up on mountain bikes. Like
Yeah.
I wasn't the ZFS, whatever it's called.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. Um, I'm super dyslexic. The letters are so hard for me. Anyway, whatever that bike is called, like it just like I think it's cool, and it's the ones I've built are really awesome, but it just wasn't one that was like I need that bike.
yeah.
So but this one, the Sparrow, was like, yeah, I'm ready for this, and very, very, very happy that I did jump on it, because like, yeah, dude, like I was
Sounds
riding
like
the
you were
group right at
ripping
30
it.
miles an hour on it.
Ripping it,
Yeah,
comfortable, racy, some arrow to it,
well,
man. That sounds like
and it's
yeah. And then again, just
it's cheap.
I was stunned when you don't associate Cervelo with cheap, and
I
so
made a joke about that in the video.
I was stunned by that. I was stunned by that. So, hey, I know we got to get you rolling. Let me hit you with one more thing. Let's talk Thunderburts. You go look at the Rolling Resistance website. You know, you
I
go
got
look at the
40 minutes,
study.
but
Those Thunderburts are fast. You know, as far as XC tires go, mountain bike tires, I think they rank the top of the list. What makes me nervous about the Thunderburts is they're squirrely as a mug as well. Like there's not much there. So for a guy and I'm dyslexic as a mug too. So we got the two dyslexic dads, the Joe and the Pro, on here. But as far as the you know, being on some high dose of blood thinners, and you're coming down the Cold to Crush or any of these races, talk to me about the Thunderburts versus, say, bumping up a little bit to two Racing Ralphs or something of the sorts.
I wouldn't do Racing Ralph in that situation. I would
Okay.
go to a different brand,
Okay.
actually.
Tell
But
tell me first. Let's talk Thunderbirds, and then tell me
yeah,
what the alternatives would be. Like
yeah.
because I've looked at, you know, I've talked Aspen, I've run Icons, I've run you know, obviously I've run the Ramblers a bunch. That's what's on the bike right now. So yeah, let's hear your take on the Thunderbirds. I know
So
you're high on them.
my take is that they're the best. They're
Okay.
the best tire. They have so much traction. They have, or sorry, they have. Ignore what I just said because there's some caveats with
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
traction. Um, they're so freaking fast. They roll so well. They you're definitely taking a risk by running them. Um, there's a couple risks involved. One risk is
Puncture
that
and squirreliness, and you're running the speed skin. Are you not
they're
versus like
not.
the Super Ground or
Yeah, so Rolling Resistance says that the super race ones
Super?
are actually more durable than the
Yeah.
super ground ones, which I don't
That's
understand.
crazy to me.
It
Yeah,
doesn't make sense. Yeah.
because I would rather go that route because I like the tan sidewall
No,
on the
well, and that's
bikes.
why you see the
But
tan sidewalls on all my bikes now because
yeah,
they said that
yeah,
they were more durable. Because normally I wouldn't mess with I
yeah,
don't run like the paper thin tires in racing.
yeah.
But whenever I read that the Rolling Resistance website thought that the super race casing was more durable, I switched over to it. Because they roll the same, in the tests, they roll the same. So it doesn't really matter. Like,
Yeah.
honestly, it doesn't make sense why they have two. But anyway, the, like, so I know, like, they're sketchy because there's nothing separating the tire from the ground. And so like you're just prone to like any puncture that you might get, like it's amplified. And I've taken that risk a couple times now and it's never been a problem. I've raced that I raced a set of those to the point of that like I don't want to race them anymore
Hmm.
because so me and Trey were setting up for that War Daddy race that I was gonna do, and I hadn't ridden my drop bar World Cup since Ozark Gravel Doom, and we were looking at the tires, and I was like, oh man, it's just riddled with holes, like
Yeah.
just tons of holes, and like they never went flat on me because this I'm assuming the sealant did what it was supposed to do, but like yeah, just tons of holes, and I was like, yeah, we those are training tires now, like
Yeah.
put them in
Yeah.
the pile, like those aren't we're not racing those anymore. Um, but they made it through. Um,
But not, I've heard not real long lasting, and which you'd kind
no,
of expect for something that bare. But and when you're talking about $100 per tire, you know, it's, you know, that's another fact. I mean, although man, I can't believe, when did these mountain bike tires all get? Yeah, I mean, when all the Maxxis tires, I mean, everything's in that $90+ range now for a
do you
tire.
want to go on a side
Yeah,
trip?
let's
So the
hear it.
reason
Let's
why,
hear it. Yeah.
okay, side trip. Rubber is really expensive right now because of the whatever country they produce it in
Okay.
is like going through some turmoil, and the workers of the rubber
Mm.
are this was a big deal in COVID.
Okay.
The workers that were working in the rubber factories were like in like pay disputes with the people who own the rubber manufacturer because it comes from trees. And so like it's gotten really expensive,
Okay.
especially with like
That makes
importing it.
sense.
But that's why. And sorry, I'm not like up to date 100% on the reasons of like like the geopolitical situation about the rubber importation, but for a while that was a thing going on. Like the workers, there was like not enough workers or something like that.
So you
Uh,
talk about how sketchy they can be as far as the
so
the
yeah,
puncture factor. What about the sketchiness as far as the squirreliness as you're
so
ripping
they're not.
down something like the Cold to Crush?
So they have amazing traction
Okay.
because the contact patch is the whole tire, right? Like the whole tire is in contact with the ground. It has amazing
Hmm.
traction. The problem lies in that it has zero braking traction.
Hmm.
So like
Yeah.
if you're off the brakes, you're golden. Like they're amazing and they're better than a lot of other tires because literally just it's just the whole tire on the ground. But the second you hit the brakes, like say you're trying to like brake around like a switchback,
Yeah.
like you're gonna not stop because the
Yeah. So
tire
like the Cold to Crush, you're ripping and it's switchback after switchback of
every single
loose. Yeah.
switchback you'll
Yeah.
have a problem and you'll
Yeah.
like it's not it's just awful braking traction is what I would
Wow.
call it. Amazing.
What are we running this weekend? Out of curiosity. Now we're on
Uh,
tires. What's going
I'm
to be
running
on the bike?
Ray Ralph.
Ray and Ralph.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ray
Um,
Ralph combo. Nice.
or if it's super muddy, I Ray is probably enough, but like the Wicked Will is such a great tire.
Okay.
It's the more trail tire, but
Yeah,
it's still
yeah,
like a racy trail. Like
yeah,
man, those tires rock, dude. Those
yeah.
are like I ride those in the winter, and they're just so good. Um,
Aren't they a little more like I run the Maxxis Dissector quite a bit? Are they a little more in that realm?
a little bit, but
The
not really. It's still an
okay,
XC tire. It's
okay,
more like a Recon.
okay, or like a Recon.
Yeah,
Okay, that's yeah. That's
yeah,
so like
more like a
right now my Spurs set up with the Dissector up front and a Recon in the back.
yeah. So it's like that
Yeah.
Recon.
Okay.
Only they're faster than the Recon. So
Okay.
it's like a it's better.
Nice.
It's a better XC tire. Totally viable XC tire is what I would call it. Um, I think
So
that
yeah, what's an alternative then? What were you gonna say? You think what?
I think you should run the Kenda boosters,
Can the boosters like the Booster Pros? Like what's
like
on
the
the?
ones you already have. I think you should just run those tires.
Tell me about that. So I was gonna say, what about the? Is it the Cush or the Crush or the what's their the Kenda real racy ones?
Oh, the Rush.
The Rush,
Yeah,
the
the Rushes
Rush.
are sick. The Rushes rock. They're just basically the same thing as the Thunderbird, and at that point, you might as well run the Thunderburts.
Okay, okay.
Yeah,
So
I
you go
mean,
boosters, huh?
like unless it's like this is like my opinion. It's like, are you like, would you run Aspens or
I
would that?
mean, I'd consider it. Yeah, that's something I considered last time. Yeah,
I mean,
but
that's an
but
option too. The
yeah,
new
yeah,
Aspen ST, like that would
yeah,
be an Aspen ST. There you go. That's another option. But like, if you're looking for absolute, like, I'm not gonna fall off this cliff, like I would just
yeah.
run the boosters.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like they're
Yeah. I
not
mean,
gonna.
definitely
Yeah,
a priority to me is not going off the cliff, but another priority is not puncturing. Like that's just, I'd rather take a little penalty and have, as far as rolling resistance or, and have a better shot, especially when we're talking Leadville. So the idea, since these are right now the tires we think we're going to have me running at Leadville, the idea of running that whole setup, definitely is appealing. There's definitely there's about 40% asphalt on the crusher, so we got some crushers, some pavement to contend with,
so
headwinds and pavement.
this is my hierarchy of like what if you're making a decision about what tires to run.
Okay.
If you don't, if not flattening is your number one priority, then go with Max's.
Okay.
Even
Yeah,
though they're
I've
slower across the board.
and that's all I've raced. That's all
Yeah.
I've raced for that reason. And knock on wood, I'm not going to say it, but I ride pretty light. I ride pretty light, and yeah, I'm I ride pretty carefully, if you will, picking my lines, and have had really good luck in that sense. Yeah,
Well, and like honestly, like so Maxis, I think is a favorite of all the pros for that reason. They're not
yeah,
fast. Like none of them
yeah,
are fast. They're not, like all of the Maxis tires are slow. But they're fast enough and you just don't you never have to worry about it. Like you're not gonna if you puncture a Maxxis tire, your day was done no matter what, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the way I,
Yeah.
yeah, like seriously, that they're quality. Like they're great tires. I like to try new things. I'm really into Schwab right now, and
Yeah, I
that's
can
why
see
you
that.
see 'em on all my bikes. I'm really into the feel of them. But like I haven't had a puncture with a Schwab tire yet, but like I know in the back of my head it's not as durable as a Maxxis tire. It's just not.
And
And
the other thing about the Maxxis tire, not just durability race day, but longevity wise. Like, I mean,
yeah,
I
they last.
raced, that's what I raced at the Breck Epic. That's what I've raced at the BC bike race. And again, knock on wood, like those are pretty chunky races where I saw a lot of pinch flats, a lot of flats, lot of tire and wheel issues. And yeah, we were pretty golden, running that recon, and I've run the recon race, recon up front, recon race out of the back. Yeah.
So if you're already running, like if that's what you were running before, like
Yeah.
you're gonna be faster than that. The Recon is
Okay.
slow as hell.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that's
Yeah.
not a fast
Yeah.
tire at all.
No, no.
It's not a bad like I'm not
I don't
saying
even
it's
think the
bad at
recon
all.
race is that fast, but yeah.
Recon Race
Yeah. Yeah.
is to this day one of my favorite tires.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's slow. It's super
Yeah.
slow. Like
Okay.
it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um like the booster's faster. All of the Schwab tires are faster.
How's the booster durability wise, Jesse? We're talking this Kenda booster, how the Booster
Yeah,
Pro, how
I've ridden that tire more than any other tire, and I have never had a problem. Um, so that's all I can tell you.
okay. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I
Nice.
really don't think it's an issue. I don't like, I'm not going to put it on the same level as Maxxis, but like, because I've heard people tell me that they've flatted the Kenda tires, um, but I've never had it happen, so that's my best thing to tell you there.
So here's the last one before we bounce out. Since we want to run those at Leadville, I know Matt. I know you said that Kenda's the little precarious where they're at right now. Are we going to be able to get another set of those Booster Pros so I can go in with a fresh set at Leadville?
Let
Are
me
those
see if they have them.
are those available? Because from my end, I haven't been seeing them. I know you've got a different look at the world.
Kind of. Booster.
The
Let's see
Booster
what they
Pro,
got.
the Kenda Booster Pro in the coffee. Folks, if you haven't looked at those Kenda Booster Pro, if you like the tan sidewall, and Jesse and I love the tan sidewall, that coffee sidewall is the prettiest tan sidewall I've seen yet. I really love those Schwaby tan sidewalls, and then that Kenda coffee, that darker brown. It's beautiful.
So Kenda doesn't have any.
Okay.
Oh wait, they have the black sidewalls.
Okay.
Yeah. Not an easy tire to get your hands on right now though.
Tough one. Well,
Yeah.
any
I
any
would
fi- any what were you gonna say?
I was gonna say like I mean honestly man like I don't know maybe those new Maxxis tires might be the thing to do
Way to go.
like because I just know you're not gonna flat them
Yeah,
like you did
yeah.
before.
Okay, we'll talk that. We'll see what we can get. The bicycle station, man, they can get you anything. The bicycle station. You got any parting words before we go? And when we're connecting this time next week, it's going to be a recap of the Mohican. Any prognostication, predictions, thoughts going into this one? You're heading out tomorrow. How long of a drive is it for you?
Like 4.5, 5 hours.
4.5, 5 hours. You going solo or?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's why I got the camera so I can try to
Nice.
film this.
Nice. Any parting words, any thoughts about the plan, the goals, the ambitions going into this one?
Well, it's really interesting because I just don't even know what to expect because I've never tried to do a meal plan before.
Yeah.
Like it's weird to think
Yeah.
about. I've also never ridden the 100-mile Mohican.
Okay.
I've done the shorter version a couple times, and the race is basically like you do like a 30-mile single track that I know that trail very, very well. I've ridden that trail tons of times because it's really close to where I went to college. But then after the single track, you just do like some stuff out in the county, and there's some other trails out there. But
Okay.
the big difference in the 100-mile is you do the 30 miles of single track twice.
Mm,
So
okay.
you basically
Okay.
do the whole short course and then you turn left and you do another loop of the single
Loop it
track.
up.
And so that's kind of the thing is like getting around that circle again
Yeah.
is going to be the challenge for me
Getting in a
because
good spot, pacing it.
well, and
Yeah,
because this is the Mohican's like a real mountain bike race.
for
Like
sure.
it's on trail. Um, like Kahutta
It's a
is
proper
really,
mountain bike race,
yeah,
is what I
Kahutta is
hear.
more of a
Yeah.
gravel race. I
Okay.
mean, you don't want to race a gravel bike, but it's a gravel race. Mohican's a real mountain bike race. The only other event I've ever done like this was the Margie Gasick, and
Okay.
um, I'm gonna I think I'm pretty primed to have a good event. I'm
Nice.
pretty excited
You
about it.
feeling
So
good? What's the week been like? Have you had any, like, where would you categorize this? Like A race, B race, C race, no category. What as far as like, are you a little tapered? Are you feeling fresh and firing? It doesn't sound like you're feeling flat and fatigued going in, which is always a good
no,
thing.
my race, I think every race for me is kind of an A race this
Okay.
year. I'm
Yeah.
I'm really only doing like one a month.
Okay.
Yeah, like I
Only, he
have,
says. Yeah.
yeah, I mean like but that's different than normal for me. Normally I'd be like entering like whatever like Jim's 20-mile time trial
Yeah.
down the road.
Yeah.
I'd be like, yeah, I'll enter that. Um so like I really am only doing these races. And so this one, like I've had some time to rest from the last two, and I think it's gonna go well, man.
Good, good man. We're gonna be thinking of you. I'll be sending you some smoke signals Saturday. I'm sure we'll be in touch a little bit in the travels. But yeah, we're all gonna be rooting for you, hoping you find that stamina and endurance and just feel strong and steady. And especially if it's not gonna be hot, man, I would just say drink when you feel like drinking. I
Yeah,
think oftentimes in that kind of weather, especially, people feel like they have to take on a bottle an hour type thing. And I would say the hydration is a little different than the nutrition strategy that you're taking on. So I would say drink when you make sure you're drinking, but drink when you feel like drinking. Let thirst be the guide on that one.
I'm like a
Yeah,
camel, man.
yeah, yeah.
Like
Nah,
I
so
can
you,
go, like I can ride forever without drinking water.
yeah,
It's weird.
yeah. You look a little like a camel right now. That big beard.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
for
looking
sure.
good though. Looking good. All right, Jesse, man, we got nothing but love for you. That's a wrap on another one. We're 3 weeks in a row, folks. Like, we're coming out of the gate screaming. We're coming out of the gate ripping. We want to hear from you, not about you. Jesse, I got nothing but love for you. I hope you have safe travels. I hope you ride safe. I hope you ride smart. I hope you ride strong. I look forward to hearing about the nutrition, how that works for you, and then just hearing about the whole experience, getting a good recap next week. So that'll be a fun one to come back to. And hit me up. Yeah, give our love to the Bicycle Station family and crew. Once again, folks, this one is powered by the Bicycle Station. So check them out at thebicyclestation.com. Give us some love on Spotify, on Apple, on the Bicycle Station YouTube channel. As far as Apple and Spotify, you can find us at a Joe and a Pro Cycling Podcast. And that is the website as well if you add a .com. Jesse, you got anything you want to leave us with?
Nah, man, I'm good.
All right, man. Be steady out there. Be
We'll
steady.
see you
Got
later.
nothing but love for you. Later.